Hello, welcome back to Mrs. Torres' YouTube channel. Today we are going to start chapter 3, which is parallel and perpendicular lines. So today we're just going to kind of talk about a few different types of lines and planes, and then tomorrow we'll really get into parallel and perpendicular lines. So first in our packet we have two lines are parallel if they lie in the same plane and do not intersect. So a lot of us probably knew parallel lines don't intersect, but in the same plane, that's what's new for this class. So if I draw two lines here, there's two ways we can mark lines being parallel. You'll see little colored in triangle arrow things like that, or the way that I usually draw them is to just add these arrows. So they both have one arrows on them, which means they're parallel. If they both have two arrows, things like that, that also means they're parallel. It's kind of like the tick marks and being congruent. So if I say this is line L and this is line M, in math we have a symbol to say L is parallel to M. L is parallel to M. So these two vertical lines, that means is parallel to. Next we have two lines are what if they intersect to form a right angle? Well, that's perpendicular. So if we draw L and M this time, and they intersect at a right angle, so I'm going to add our little right angle symbol. So these lines are perpendicular, and the way that we say that is L is perpendicular to M. So it's kind of like an upside down T there. So L is perpendicular to M. Two planes are parallel planes if they do not intersect. Just like parallel lines never intersect, parallel planes never intersect. And the newer one here is skew lines. So two lines are skew lines if they do not lie in the same plane. And skew lines never intersect. So now we have two types of lines that never intersect. Skew lines never intersect. Parallel lines never intersect. The difference is parallel lines are in the same plane. Skew lines are not in the same plane. So the way we can think about this is if we think about a rectangular prism, which I'm not great at drawing, but there's our rectangular prism. There's the lines behind there that we can't see, right? Excuse me. Each one of the faces or sides of our rectangular prism is kind of like its own plane, right? So if I have this line here, make it a little greener, that line there, that's in this front plane here and in this side plane here. So if we chose this line up here, these two would be skew lines. This would go on forever and go up, 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 down, 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 down. This would go to the side. And they're in different planes, right? This line's in those two planes, and the top line here is in this top plane. So those two would be an example of skew lines. All right, go ahead and flip it on over. We are going to try to identify some of these things. I forgot to draw on our diagram before I copied our notes packet. So I'm going to quickly draw a diagram, and then you can pause it so you can draw it on yours. So I'll show you once I'm all done. All right, there we go. So go ahead and pause the video and draw that on your paper. So we are going to identify if these lines are parallel, perpendicular, or they might be neither. So the first one is M and N, right here, M and N. Well, we look, they each have one arrow, so that means these are parallel. How about P and Q? Well, they intersect here, so we know they're not parallel. Do they intersect at a 90-degree angle? There's nothing marked there, so we don't know if it's a 90-degree angle, so we are going to say that is neither. And then look at N and P. N and P intersect right here, so we know they're not parallel, and check that out. We've got the box, which means they intersect at a 90-degree angle, so those two lines are perpendicular. All right, we've got another diagram here, so I'm going to draw it quickly, and then you can just pause it to draw your own. All right, there's our picture for this one. All right, so now that you have that drawn on your paper, notice that right here, our line goes from solid to dotted to solid again. So what that means is, if you think of this plane as being flat on the table, F is coming down, hitting H there, and then going through our plane. So where it's dotted, it's really underneath of our plane, and then we can see it again here. So the dotted line means we can't really see it. It's behind our plane. All right, so determine whether the lines are skew. Remember, for skew lines, we need them to be A, in different planes, and B, never intersect. So the first one's F and H. Those are in different planes, right? H is in this plane that's kind of laying down, and then F is in a plane that's kind of vertical there. So they are not in the same plane. That's a good start. And they never intersect. Well, we kind of just talked about it, right? F and H intersect right there where it goes through the plane. So these are not skew lines. What about F and G? Well, G's on the same plane as H, right? That's kind of the one that's laying down. F is on a different plane because it's vertical there. Do they ever intersect? Now here's where it gets a little tricky because we're looking at things in 3D but drawing them in 2D. So it looks like F and G intersect right there. But really what's going on is, if we think of this plane as laying flat on the ground or on the table, whatever, let's say this right here would be line G. F is coming down over here and going through our plane. So when we look at it kind of from this angle, it looks like our two lines intersect, when in fact, they don't, right? If we kind of look at it from this angle, they don't intersect. I know it's kind of hard to see on this video, but so they don't intersect and they're on different planes, so F and G are skew lines. All right, last diagram, we're going to start with a plane again. All right, there we go. All right, take a second and draw that. So let's name a pair of parallel lines. Well, here's our matching arrows. So X and Y are parallel. Name a pair of perpendicular lines. Well, Z and X intersect. There's our right angle. And then name a pair of skew lines. Now, Z and X intersect here, right? And this dotted line means it's behind our plane. We can't see it, but it's still there. So that means Z is on a different plane than x and y. Z and x we know intersect right there. But here where it's dotted, that line actually isn't going through y because it's below it. So Z and y would be skew lines. And then our challenge question, how many right angles are formed by two perpendicular lines? Well, if we draw two perpendicular lines, we know that's a right angle, right? If we think about vertical angles, that means that's also a right angle. If we think about linear pairs, these need to add to a 180, so that's going to be a 90. And then vertical pairs. So 4 right angles are formed. All right, see you in the next video.